Every day, we trust apps with our money, our photos, our messages, and even our identity. But what if the internet worked a little differently? That is the idea behind Ethereum. And if words like Ethereum, gas fees, or smart contracts have ever sounded confusing to you, that's completely normal. Because honestly, most crypto explanations feel like someone speaking a different language. So in this video, let's fix that. No complicated jargon, no computer science degree needed, just simple English. All this Ethereum stuff people keep talking about will finally start making sense. So let's begin. To understand Ethereum, we first need to quickly understand Bitcoin. Because without Bitcoin, Ethereum probably would never exist. Back in 2009, Bitcoin introduced a crazy idea. What if money could exist online without banks? And for the first time ever, it actually worked. People could send money directly to each other over the internet without needing banks, PayPal, or governments in the middle. Just people and code. And honestly, that changed everything. But Bitcoin had one major limitation. It was mainly built for one thing, digital money. And then a young programmer, Vitalik Buterin, started thinking bigger. What if blockchain could do more than just move money? What if blockchain could run apps too? What if internet apps didn't need giant companies in the middle anymore? And in 2013, when he was just 19 years old, Vitalik wrote the Ethereum white paper. The idea behind Ethereum was actually pretty simple. A shared computer for the internet. Now that sounds complicated, but the easiest way to think about Ethereum is this. It's basically a giant global computer that anyone can build apps on. And unlike normal apps, these apps don't run on one company's server. They run across thousands of computers around the world, which means much harder for one company to suddenly change rules, shut the app down, or block users. That's what made Ethereum feel revolutionary. Because suddenly people started realizing, wait, you can build apps this way? But what actually makes this possible? Smart contracts. And honestly, this is where Ethereum usually starts sounding complicated. But the core idea is actually pretty simple. A smart contract is basically code that automatically follows instructions. If this happens, then do that. Think about a vending machine. You insert money, the machine checks, did this person pay? If yes, the snack comes out automatically. No cashier, no manager, no approval process. That's basically how smart contracts work. If this happens, then automatically do that. And because the instructions run automatically, nobody can secretly interfere in the middle. Now imagine taking this much further. Loans, payments, games, and suddenly people started building financial apps, digital collectibles, and blockchain games. This is why Ethereum became such a huge deal. Because people started realizing we can actually build apps without giant companies sitting in the middle. Today, billions of dollars move through Ethereum-based apps every single day. And all of this creates another important question. What actually powers Ethereum? A lot of beginners get confused here. Ethereum is the network. ETH or Ether is the currency powering that network. Think of it like this. Ethereum is a giant digital city and ETH is the electricity powering that city. Every time you use Ethereum, you pay a small fee in ETH. That fee is called gas. That's it. Gas is basically a small processing fee. Anytime the network has to process something like sending money or buying something, you pay a little bit of gas. It's kind of like paying a toll to use a highway. The more work the network has to do, the more gas you pay. And without gas fees, people could overload the network with spam transactions. And over time, millions of people started using Ethereum. And as more people started using Ethereum, the network got crowded. Gas fees became really expensive. Sometimes people paid $20, $50, even over $100 for a single transaction during peak demand. Imagine trying to buy something worth $10 and paying $80 just in fees. That is insane. And honestly, this is where many people started getting frustrated with crypto. But weirdly, those crazy fees also proved something important. People genuinely wanted to use Ethereum. The network became crowded because demand exploded, and eventually, Ethereum hit a huge problem. It became slow, crowded, and expensive. Imagine one highway with millions of cars trying to use it at the same time. Traffic becomes terrible. So Ethereum had to evolve. So developers started building separate networks that could help Ethereum handle more activity. Think of Ethereum like a busy highway. These newer networks act like express lanes built on top of it. They help things make faster, cheaper, and smoother. And these systems are called layer 2s. You have probably heard names like Base, Arbitrum, or Polygon. These networks help take pressure off Ethereum, which is a huge reason Ethereum feels much faster and cheaper today compared to a few years ago. Another thing beginners notice online is .eth names. You have probably seen things like Vitalik.eth online. That's because normal crypto wallet addresses are long, random, and almost impossible to remember. So Ethereum introduced readable usernames through something called ENS, Ethereum Name Service. Instead of sending crypto to a giant random address, you can send it to name.eth. Much easier and much more human. Here is something many beginners don't know. Ethereum actually split into two separate chains, Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, or ETH and ETC. Back in 2016, a major Ethereum project got hacked. Millions of dollars were stolen, and suddenly the Ethereum community had a huge argument. One group wanted to undo the hack and return people's money. The other group believed blockchains should never be changed, no matter what. Eventually, Ethereum split into two versions. The version most people use today became Ethereum, ETH. The original version became Ethereum Classic, ETC, and both versions still exist today. Another massive change happened in 2022. Ethereum stopped using mining. Originally, Ethereum worked similar to Bitcoin. Huge mining machines using massive amount of electricity were required. But then Ethereum switched to proof of stake. Instead of giant mining farms, people now put some of their ETH into the network as a kind of security deposit. Ethereum then randomly picks some of those people to help confirm transactions. If they help run the network honestly, then they earn rewards. If they try to cheat, then they can lose that ETH. And because Ethereum no longer needed all those power-hungry mining machines, its energy usage dropped by more than 99%, which became one of the biggest upgrades in crypto history. Now here is another question people ask a lot. Is Ethereum deflationary? Not always, because new ETH is still being created. But at the same time, some ETH also gets burnt during transactions. So during periods of heavy usage, more ETH can get burnt than created, and that's when Ethereum becomes deflationary. And over the years, Ethereum became much bigger than just a digital currency. But here is something important. Smart contracts are no longer on Ethereum. Ethereum made smart contracts mainstream, but today many blockchains support smart contracts like Solana, Avalanche, and BNB chain. But Ethereum is still the biggest smart contract ecosystem in crypto. Mostly because it has the most developers, the most apps, and huge support from major companies. And now in 2026, Ethereum is much bigger than just a cryptocurrency. Today, Ethereum helps power digital dollars, crypto trading apps, and tokenized real-world assets. Billions of dollars move through Ethereum-based stablecoins every single day, and even giant financial companies are paying attention. Companies like BlackRock are already exploring tokenized assets and blockchain finance, and slowly people started realizing something bigger. Ethereum might not just become another internet app. It could become part of how the internet works in future. And that's why Ethereum matters. Not just because people speculate on ETH price, but because Ethereum introduced a completely different way to think about the internet. What if money, apps, and even digital things you own could work online without giant companies sitting in the middle? That idea alone changed the direction of internet forever. And whether Ethereum wins long term or not, it already changed the conversation. Because after Ethereum, people stopped asking, can this blockchain stuff work? And started asking, what else can blockchain power? And that is a massive shift. So if Ethereum feels a little less confusing now, good, that was the goal. And honestly, if you made it till here, you already understand Ethereum better than most beginners entering crypto today. So what do you think? Could apps one day exist without giant companies controlling them? And if you want crypto explained in simple English, subscribe to Kuntal.web3 and I will see you in the next one.